All right, so today I'm just going to share a training on how to break bread to make bread. And this is something that came up in our episode with Wiley recently, and something I realized I used to do a lot that I kind of stepped away from. So now today, I just booked a lunch in one of my markets with a lawyer there, and I'm going to book a few realtor visits around it, see if I can get some action going by doing this. But I'm going to show you guys how to strategically look at your database and get this rolling. So step one is to mine your data. So identify all the realtors who have sent you files over the past year or two. Segregate that list into who have sent you multiple files and rank it accordingly. So depending on where you're storing your data, it can be a lot to look at. You might just have like massive sheets if you're on a CRM and not be able to isolate out this stuff. So what I did for mine is I just sorted on my spreadsheet and then I copied everything into ChatGPT and I said like isolate how many times this name is mentioned and it told me accordingly. And then I just had it rank the names. So it was really quick and easy to pull out who are my top partners. I even did this with the commission report. So I know, for example, one of my realtors sent me like $60,000 in income last year. So I'm like, okay, this is someone I need to nurture more to maintain the relationship, but also to help it grow into other files that maybe she's not sending. So just little things like that. Use ChatGPT, use these different tools to pull out that data and then build that list. You don't need a ton. You don't need to do this with a ton of realtors. Ideally, you're kind of picking like that 4 to 6 sort of range. If you're not deep with anyone, maybe try sprinkling in a few extras just so you get that layer of relationship building. From there, you're going to build a cadence. So for each of you, this is going to look different. Some of you, it might be like coffee, lunch, drinks, and then dinner. For other people who don't drink or like more active lifestyle, it might be something like hike, concert, spa, dinner. It doesn't have to always be centered around drinking and going out. That's just one way to do it. The key thing here is just to pick something that fits both of your personalities. So if you see a realtor who's like a huge health nut, don't ask them to go for donuts. Maybe ask them to do a workout if you're into fitness as well. Make sure it's authentic to both of you because you want to build on the commonalities you have there. And then work backwards and set a budget that makes sense for you. So having that context of like how much revenue does this person bring? Like don't spend 5 grand on someone who sends you a $200,000 mortgage a year because that's not a profitable business model. You'll quickly go out of business. So figure out what makes sense. So I might allocate $1,000 per partner per year, depending on the size of your files and the location and frequency and strength of that realtor as a partner. You may want to increase or decrease this. The goal here, though, is to break bread once a quarter and enhance. It's a tough word for me today. Enhance your top relationships. So really just look at the foundation of who's sending you business, and then you're going to build on that with these activities so that they start sending you more business and that you just build better relationships. Like I know the realtors that I've had a lot of fun with, I enjoy doing my calls to them each week because it's fun to catch up. I know like who's getting married, who's had a kid, who's at different points in their life, and I actually know like their kids' names, and I feel more invested in the relationship. And similarly for them, like they know about my daughter, they know about the cottage, they know about all these different things. And it's yes, it's there's transactions that are done, but the relationship itself is not transactional. I think that's a really big piece to going forward. Next thing is just to reach out and book those events. So it's a reason to call. It's a reason to show them you're thinking about them. So once you have that database mining, um, done, you're going to reach out and you're going to book these appointments. The purpose of it is not like, hey, I want to get together with you to show you how you could mine your database or show you my first time home buyer strategy. That's not the intent of this. The whole intent is to have just relationship building, but come prepared with like one or two cool things you're working on. So if the conversation is naturally going to drift back to business at some point, if they say like, oh, what are you doing now? That's something different. You can have something to talk about, but like don't go in there with like, okay, we're gonna have our first drink and then I'm gonna pull out my spreadsheet and show them this. That's not how you want to do this at all. Just like work on building the relationship. Ultimately, friends like working with friends. So you're not going into this with a selling mentality, you're going with a giving mindset and relationship building.
I find that usually the conversation ends up being about business anyways. Like after you've done your pleasantries of like, oh, what's new in your life? It usually ends up you end up talking about real estate and mortgages anyways. So I like that you said like come prepared with a couple things, but don't have it as like a set agenda. It'll naturally get there.
Yeah, and like I would even prepare for like have one or two lines you can say on tariffs and the impact on the market or things like that. Like just that's pressing. Like what's going on with liberal and conservative? Like now there's going to be election. Like what party, what's your view on which party brings more to housing? Like maybe don't go too political because you don't know where they sit, but like at least have something to say. Like show them you're not an AI robot or someone with a top-down bank agenda. Like you have your own opinions, you have your own thoughts, you have your own outlook on the world, and share that. And you might find that, hey, this person's very aligned with my view of where the economy is going or what's wrong with Canadian leadership. And that's something to build on. Like, but uncover these pieces. Don't go in with your agenda. Just let it form naturally. Um, Also, when talking about like strategies and stories and things like that, if it comes up, try to keep it to 3 sentences tops. Don't go super granular in this unless they are like you can see they want a ton of detail. Don't lead with that.
With the spreadsheet and ChatGPT, did you just attach it as a file, like the whole spreadsheet without doing anything and then telling it what you wanted?
I literally just copied and pasted and I said mine out these, pull out these.
Okay, so you didn't try doing the upload?
No.
I'm gonna try the upload today, see if it works.
Yeah, I just literally copied and pasted. And I've been using ChatGPT for a lot of like different spreadsheet building and stuff like that. Like I threw like bank statements in there and I was like, hey, analyze my chiropractor receipts for the last year. Just different like ways to expedite things I need to do for different processes. Um, Even like looking at the brokerage reports and saying, okay, like pull out which lenders we're sending business to and what types of files, that kind of stuff. I use it for that. So just makes you more efficient. But yeah, this if you're not doing it, even try it with two realtors to start, and you'll see the results fairly quickly.
Uh, how often do you actually book the meetings? Like once or two times a week, or once or two times a month? What do you think is not too much, but nothing at all either? Like it's a sweet spot. What do you find yourself?
Yeah, so historically I used to do it twice a year. I got away from that and I saw a dip from several partners, so I just stopped nurturing. I would say if you can get a cadence of once a quarter, that's good. You're not really going to get someone out for an event in December because December's slammed. But like your event, your cadence at that point could be bringing them a handwritten Christmas card and a bottle of wine and just dropping them it off at their house. Something like that, like something super simple. It doesn't always have to be a huge event. Um,
Yeah,
Try to have that touch point once a quarter, I think is where you're going to see the top results.
yeah,
Then it's like, you know, then you have a relationship because they're constantly being pitched to, they're constantly being shown new, sexy, excited things. And, you know, we do a great job. We know that, but we need to constantly remind them that we do a great job, but we're also the person that they personally like as well.
fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah. And like I said, it doesn't have to be centered around alcohol. Like I know someone in the group is doing really well with like church activities. That's a great cadence because there's typically like church barbecue or like Bible studies, like different things like that. That can be your cadence. If you find someone else who's in that church community, you can be like, hey, do you want to sign up for this Bible study together? And then you have like maybe 6 weeks of seeing each other once a week. That's a huge opportunity to build a relationship. Like Sunny, for example, you in the Chamber of Commerce, like, hey, do you want to go to the chamber event together or like do something after chamber event? Like you can just schedule it like that. So you're piggybacking off something you're both already invested in. And then
yeah,
it's great for both of you. You get more out of that chamber that you're in, and
yeah.
it just keeps you aligned.
I've done that actually a few times. I have actually brought a realtors to the event and I've taken them to a pickleball camp, trying to set up another a pickleball thing. So with that realtor, because she wants to be into it, I said, okay, so let's go and I will help you.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I think like anything you can do with like sports, especially, just like step out of the norm a bit. Like I was thinking about having a few up at my cottage. Like just do things that are like, not the common asks they're getting all the time. Um, Not everyone's going to go for it. You might get people say like, "Hey, like, no, I'm just going to like do my family thing, or I do this on weekends." That's totally fine. You're still showing
Yeah.
the initiative of thinking differently, and it does help the relationship.